Think of Brighton pier and you think of a day at the seaside or of fun on the Dodgems. What you might not know is that when the pier opened in 1899, over 100 years ago, there used to be a theatre here. In its heyday, you could have seen everyone from John Gielgud to Gracie Fields. As part of this summer's Brighton Festival, the pier is going to become a theatre once again, but it's going to be a very different kind of theatre.
Let's thrash it out over a cup of instants!
Had Pharaoh done as Chief Redcoat Riley suggests, sir, 10 plagues would not have been...
I've come to Brighton to see rehearsals for a play by Joe Orton. It's called The Erpingham Camp, a little-known comedy from the late 60s set in a holiday camp where everything goes wrong. A talent competition ends in farce, a riot breaks out, and a mob of holidaymakers launch a kind of revolution. It's being performed by Hydrocracker, a Brighton-based company who specialise in site-specific theatre.
We believe, I suppose, in a theatre where people don't just sit in the dark and watch. We want people to come to the theatre and get a real visceral experience, be really engaged, and yeah, be able to take part in it, be a hero in their own story. So yeah, in this play they are campers, redcoats, and they will have to decide: do I go with the rebels, or do I stay with Law and Order and the Camping and Caravanners Association?
What can I do for you, gentlemen?
The play comes to a climax when a group of holidaymakers take offence at being forced to obey the rules. On one side of this divide is the dictatorial Mr. Erpingham. On the other, a set of not-so-happy campers.
Certain elements on both sides are to blame for what has happened. We all of us regret it. Will you not be reasonable and forget the whole sorry business?
So the audience are following the cast around. It's like a promenade performance.
Yeah, it's site-specific and it's promenade. So the audience arrive at the gates of the pier, right at the entrance to the pier, and they get taken on a journey. They get fish and chip supper in the Palm Court restaurant. They end up here. We are in Horatio's bar for a bit of a floor show, and then after that, everything descends into some sort of chaos.
Lovely!
Throughout the pier, they let us go on rides for free. When the campers run amok, and we want scenes where I'll have that candy floss and I'm not paying for it, they're kind of in on that. They're letting us take over the radio station so that the announcements go out on the pier radio. So they've been really welcoming.
What's intriguing about performing this play on a pier is that traditionally it's the place where different groups in English society mix and mingle. Like his good friend Harold Pinter, Joe Orton, who grew up in a working-class household in Leicester, was an acute observer of the subtle gradations in the English class system.
I never liked the Tories, as I suspected they weren't decent.
What do you mean?
Well, look how they carry on. They are the Blue Party, aren't they?
Your Labour Party scandals have increased considerably of latter years.
I'm not a Labour man.
I thought you were.
I keep away from all that. I owe it to Eileen.
I'm expecting.
Our socialist friends would stop you doing that. They'd ban it.
Our love was banned.
I knocked her dad's teeth in. I can't stand intolerance.
The play's originally based on Euripides' play The Bacchae. So there is that dark element of what happens when people's inner emotions are unleashed, I suppose, by the god Dionysus. And the rioting within the play and the final, when Dionysus releases that in the campus, there is a absolutely kind of political element of what happens if the underclass are allowed to reign.
This is the interesting point, isn't it? Because Orton is often thought of as just farce, jokes, smutty jokes, all the rest of it. There's actually something kind of political, as you say, in this play as well.
Yeah, I think if you want to look, of course it's a fun play and it is a farce and he's a very funny writer. If you want to look closer, Erpingham stands really, I suppose, as the government, and the rioters, you know, the campers stand as the people. And it's a question of what happens when the government enforces the rules that perhaps people don't want to abide by, or what happens when the people decide that they're going to change the rules.